Page 1. The winding country lane had always been a treasure trove of hidden gems, and this quaint little house with its ivy-covered walls and thatched roof was no exception. Sarah and John had been searching for a peaceful escape from the bustling city, and as they pulled up to the property, they could hardly believe their luck. The house was exactly as the real estate agent had described, charming with just the right amount of character. It felt like something out of a storybook, and they were the protagonists, about to write their own tale in this new chapter of their lives. As they carried their belongings inside, the sun cast a warm glow over everything, filling the rooms with a golden light that seemed to promise good fortune. The couple couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement and anticipation for the adventures that awaited them in this new place. They had already envisioned cozy evenings by the fireplace, lush gardens overflowing with blooms, and long walks through the picturesque countryside. The house felt like a blank canvas, ready for them to paint their life's masterpiece upon it. But as the day turned to evening, the light began to fade, revealing the true nature of their new home. The shadows grew longer, casting eerie shapes upon the walls. It was then that they first noticed it, a mysterious black cat slinking through the garden as if it owned the place. The couple exchanged a nervous glance, unsure if the creature was friendly or if it posed a threat. They'd heard stories of mischievous cats in the countryside, but this one seemed different. It moved with an unnatural grace, its eyes glowing an unnatural shade of red. That night, as they lay in bed, the sounds of the countryside seemed to be drowned out by the cat's eerie purring, an unsettling sound that seemed to echo through the walls. The next morning, Sarah and John decided to confront the mystery cat. Armed with a broom and a sense of determination, they ventured into the backyard. The cat watched them approach, its piercing gaze unflinching. It was as if it knew they were intruders in its domain. As they drew nearer, the cat did not retreat, but instead arched its back, showing off its sleek, muscular form. Sarah and John could feel the hairs on the back of their necks stand on end. The cat had an aura of malice about it, a dark energy that seemed to pulse from its very being. It was as if the house itself was warning them of the danger they were about to face. Page 2. After that frightening encounter, the couple couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. They began to research the history of the house, hoping to find some reassurance that their new home wasn't haunted. It wasn't long before they stumbled upon a chilling report in the local newspaper archives. The previous owners, an older couple, had mysteriously vanished without a trace, their whereabouts unknown since the 1940s. The case had been closed without resolution, leaving behind only a single cryptic clue, a drawing of a demonic cat with glowing eyes. The coincidence was too striking to ignore. The drawing bore an uncanny resemblance to the creature that now prowled their property. Sarah and John shared a look of growing concern. Could there be a connection between the cat and the disappearance of the previous owners? As they delved further into the house's past, they uncovered whispers of a local legend, a tale of a demonic feline that had terrorized the village centuries ago. The creature was said to be the embodiment of a curse, a vengeful spirit that had claimed the lives of many. The villagers had banded together to vanquish the beast, but according to the legend, it would return when the stars aligned, seeking revenge for its banishment. That night, as the couple lay in bed, the cat's presence became more menacing. The creature stalked the house, its sinister purring now accompanied by a low growl. It seemed to be taunting them, a challenge to their courage. They felt trapped, as if the house itself was closing in on them. The air grew thick with the scent of ozone, a precursor to an impending storm, or something far more ominous. The couple could feel the weight of the past pressing down upon them, the very walls seeming to whisper of the horrors that had unfolded within them. Determined to face their fears head-on, Sarah and John decided to search the house for any clues that might help them understand the cat's true nature. They scoured every room, every corner, their flashlights cutting through the darkness, revealing the chilling relics of the past. In the attic, they found an old journal belonging to the previous owner, its pages filled with accounts of strange occurrences surrounding the appearance of the demonic cat. The entries grew increasingly frantic and desperate, culminating in a final chilling entry that read, "The beast has returned. I fear for my life, for the lives of all who dwell in this house. May the souls of the damned rest in peace." It was a chilling warning, and the couple could not help but shudder at the thought that they were now living in the very place that had inspired such terror. Page 3. Desperate for answers, Sarah and John sought out the help of a local occultist, a craggy old man who claimed to have communed with the supernatural. He listened to their tale with a grim nod, his eyes reflecting the flickering candlelight. He told them that the cat was indeed a vengeful spirit, one that had been bound to this earth by a sorcerer's mistake long ago. The entity had been seeking retribution for a long, forgotten crime, a blood pact that had been broken. The couple had inadvertently disturbed the peace of its tormented soul, and now they must face the consequences. The occultist provided them with a ritual designed to appease the cat and send it on its way. It was an ancient rite, one that involved the drawing of a protective circle and the recitation of prayers to a higher power. They gathered their courage and performed the ritual that night. As they spoke the words, the air around them crackled with energy, and for a brief moment, the cat seemed to pause in its stalking. But just as they finished, the creature let out a blood-curdling scream that shook the very foundations of the house. It disappeared into the shadows, leaving the couple alone with the echoes of its fury. Sarah and John felt the weight of their predicament settling upon them. They had become isolated from the rest of the world, cut off by fear and a sense of foreboding. Their phones no longer worked, and the internet had become erratic, as if the very technology itself was being repelled by the entity that haunted their home. They were entirely at the mercy of the supernatural forces that now seemed to be toying with them. Each day passed with the sensation that they were being watched, hunted by the cat's unrelenting gaze. The couple's resolve began to waver. The house had become a prison, their sanctuary transformed into a place of nightmares. They tried to go about their daily routines, but the presence of the cat was ever present, its eyes watching from the shadows. It was as if the creature had taken ownership of the house, claiming it as its own hunting grounds once more. Their fear grew with each passing day, their minds consumed by the thought of what might come next. They had to find a way to end this torment, to break the cycle of terror that had enveloped their lives. Page 4. The cat's supernatural attacks escalated, each one more harrowing than the last. The couple awoke one morning to find their bedclothes torn to shreds, the sheets stained with a sticky, viscous substance that reeked of brimstone. The windows had been smashed, and the remnants of the broken glass littered the floor. The cat had returned, its malice now unmasked, and with it came a sense of impending doom. Sarah and John knew they could not continue to live like this, under the constant threat of this spectral menace. They had to find a way to free themselves from its clutches, even if it meant facing the ultimate sacrifice. Their relationship, once full of love and hope, had been strained to the breaking point. Fear had become their constant companion, gnawing at the very fabric of their bond. They struggled to maintain their sanity, each day bringing new horrors that tested their resolve. They knew that the entity that haunted their home would not rest until it had claimed their lives as well, just as it had the lives of those before them. The thought of meeting the same fate as the previous owners was enough to send shivers down their spines. It was during one particularly harrowing encounter that they made a startling discovery. The cat, in a moment of weakness, had revealed itself to them, its true form unmasked. It was not just a cat but a demonic entity, a spectral beast that had been bound to this earth by a curse. The creature's eyes gleamed with a hunger that could not be satiated, its soul consumed by a thirst for blood and torment. It was the very embodiment of the ancient curse that had been cast upon it, and now it sought to exact its revenge upon the couple who had unwittingly disturbed its slumber. In a last-ditch effort to exorcise the demonic feline, Sarah and John devised a desperate plan. They would lure the creature into a trap, binding it once more with the same spell that had been used to summon it in the first place. It was a risky gambit, one that could end in disaster, but they had no other choice. They gathered the necessary components: an ancient tome, a crucifix, and a vial of holy water. and set about the ritual with trembling hands. The cat watched them from the shadows, its eyes burning with a fury that promised retribution. 5. As the night sky turned an ominous shade of indigo, Sarah and John initiated the ritual. The ancient tome was open before them, its pages filled with cryptic symbols that seemed to glow with an otherworldly light. The crucifix hung above their heads, and the vial of holy water stood at the ready. They chanted the words of the spell, their voices rising in a crescendo that seemed to shake the very foundations of the house. The cat, sensing the impending threat, let out a guttural roar and leaped towards them with unnatural speed. In a panic, Sarah and John attempted to activate the trap, but it was too late. The entity had anticipated their move, and in a burst of unearthly power, the house shook violently. The walls trembled, the windows shattered, and the couple was thrown to the ground. The cat, now in its full form, loomed over them, its eyes blazing with a fury that threatened to consume them whole. It had been a trap, a law set by the demonic entity to seal their fate. Their plan had failed, and with it, their last hope. In the final moments of their lives, as the entity prepared to claim their souls, Sarah and John looked into each other's eyes, their love a beacon of hope in the face of despair. They had underestimated the power of the vengeful spirit that had haunted their home, and now they paid the ultimate price for their folly. The house, once a refuge of warmth and comfort, now became their tomb, a testament to the dangers that lurked in the shadows of the countryside. The tale of the demonic cat, once a whisper of local lore, became a chilling reality. The couple's fate was sealed, their lives claimed by the spectral beast that had returned to seek its retribution. The house, with its ivy, covered walls and thatched roof, would once again remain empty, a haunting reminder of the tragedy that had unfolded within its walls. And as the sun set on the little country lane, casting long shadows that danced across the desolate garden, the mysterious black cat, with its glowing eyes, watched over its domain, a silent sentinel of the darkness that dwelt within.